Waiters, what's the saddest time waiting for someone you have experienced? Got sat a party of 15 to 20 for a woman's bridal shower. Her mom decorated the table and chairs and the whole corner for the party. Everyone in the restaurant could see there was going to be a party there on a busy Friday night. 4 people showed of the possible 20, that includes the future bride and mom. I didn't even care about the money I was missing out on. 4 tables of my section gone on a busy weekend shift. I just felt so bad for her. You know it's bad when you're not even worried about your tips. Sounds like my bridal shower. Apparently the host thought I was going to invite the guests. I thought she was. Lol, at least we had plenty of food for those who were there. I haven't bartended in a million years, but the saddest one was a guy in his 30s. He had a 2-top, asked for a bottle of top-shelf champagne, candles lit, all that. Told me they were celebrating. No one showed. Guy looked morose, but had an appetizer, poured a glass of champagne for the person who wasn't there, then asked for the bill. I felt bad, he obviously got stood up, so I brought him a dessert in the house. He smiled, and told me it was his anniversary. My face must have showed my sadness for him, so he clarified his wife died of cancer a few months ago. It may have been the saddest thing I've seen. The guys had something horrible happen to him and still decided to go out and attempt to remember the good times, not dwell on the bad. You were nice to him and that probably meant a lot. His day probably sucked. But it sucked less than it could have done. Yeah, I don't think I can handle the gut punch this thread is going to be. Not exactly a waiter, but I was working at a bar a few years back and there often was this girl, in her early 20s maybe, who sometimes used to meet her mother at the bar, maybe about every 2 or 3 months. The thing is, more often than not the mother either came extremely late, 1 or 2 hours at least, or didn't came at all. When she came, there often was a huge tension between the two. It was obvious that they had some unresolved issues. Watching the girl wait for hours even if it was clear that the mother wouldn't come on that day always broke my heart. As a barkeeper and since she was a regular, I tried my best to engage a conversation with her to distract her a little, but there's only so much you can do. Fun fact, years after I stopped working at that bar, I met her at a random party and we had a great night together. She told me that she broke up with her mother too. It sucks being the child, and trying to resolve issues with your parents because you want them to be a part of your life. But then they refuse to do any work on their part. And now she's frequent in r/raised by narcissists. I was actually a hostess at the time and I was asked to take the table for a server. An old man came in asking for a table of 6 and he asked for 6 waters. I set up his table and I put his order in. He said it was his birthday. He was there for about an hour or 2 and nobody showed up. It was really sad. He ended up tipping me like $30 and he said sorry for the trouble. I still think about that guy. I hope he's doing okay. Frown. Frown. I have no idea why I clicked on this thread. It's just making me super depressed. I hope that man is doing okay too. This happened at my bridal shower. Other than my sister, only one other guest showed up. Plenty of people RSVP'd, but the day of they were all no-shows. Cried myself to sleep that night. This one was tough. I worked at a pretty fancy steakhouse in town, and we had a private dining room that could set up to 32 at a single, long table. To book the room we charged a $1,500 deposit, which we then used to cover part of the bill. It was a deposit, not a room charge. Anyways, this girl books it for 26 people, puts the deposit on her card. She shows up with her sister, and then after about 20 minutes, 2 of their friends show up and sit at the opposite end of this giant table from the birthday girl and her sister. Nobody else came. They waited an hour, the birthday girl was sobbing, the other 2 just awkwardly left. It was awful. I'm grateful to my manager, who in a moment of compassion refunded the whole deposit back onto the poor girl's card. I felt terrible for her. That's horrible. It must have meant so much to her since she is willing to splurge. The friends left. I'd have rallied round and ordered tequila or something. What mean people. Was working an evening shift and a relatively younger guy came in and waited for his date. She showed up and not even 10 minutes later he got up and left and she sat there crying. Patrons that are there to break up are also hard to witness. Oh God. It happened to me when I was a waitress. A couple walks in, she is super happy, and very visibly in love, he is. Not so much. Everything is going alright, they finish their main, I approach them to clear the plates and ask about dessert, the girl is not so happy anymore, and the guy seems tense. I asked if they'd like to see our dessert menu, and the girl started crying. I excused myself and started to dig. WTF happened with my co-workers. Someone says they heard the guy is going on a long work trip, so I figure the girl is just sad because her boyfriend is probably being deployed or something. I decided to try brightening up their evening by bringing them some free desserts, and my boss encourages me to get them something to drink and takes out the appetizers from their tab, so I think I'll just take some cheesecake and asks them if they'd like a glass of wine on the house, and asked if they'd prefer white, red, or something non-alcoholic. The girl just absolutely loses it. She is now ugly crying, with snot and tears dripping down from her chin while she repeatedly asks the guy how could he do this to her. I'm standing there holding the cheesecake feeling like the dumbest creature to wander the land. I walked her into the ladies' room, and helped her get a hold of herself. We keep her in my manager's office until she cooled down, and she calls her girlfriend to pick her up. The guy apologized, paid, tipped well, and left. Apparently he was being deployed, he had also cheated on her, got his side piece pregnant, and was going to marry the pregnant girl instead. She had to tell her family she was being dumped a couple of months before her wedding. She kept repeating how she had already sent the invitations. It was heartbreaking. Honestly, after hearing her venting, I think she took it a lot better than I would have. I still feel bad for her, and hope she can now think of that humiliation as a good riddance and learning experience. So, crying girl in the Greek restaurant, nobody thought you were crazy, we all agreed you are awesome, and your shitty ex sucked. Ending a relationship in public? That's solo. This gentleman in his mid-40s came to my restaurant frequently and would not order his drink until his wife got there. He would wait for a few minutes, then pull out a framed picture of a woman, set it on the table, and proceed to order his food and drink. He would talk to the framed picture and have dinner with her about once a week. I noticed him doing this often and told my co-worker I thought it was cute he was having dinner with his late wife, and she replied, "Oh, no, that's not his wife." He found that picture at Goodwill and has been in a relationship with it ever since. He told me that a long time ago. What did I expect from working right off the freeway in Cracktown? Very true story, no lie. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. I love gems like this after going through a wave of depressing stories. A woman came in 4 nights in a row just in case she got the day wrong. She'd sit at the bar wearing the same flowery dress every night and would hopefully look at the door every single time it opened. Left in tears the first 2 nights when we closed, the 3rd and 4th nights she just stared vacantly at the door until we had to make sure she left. I never saw her again. I don't think any other staff did either, but we all felt really bad for her. She got a couple free drinks and apps, we didn't even care if it was a scam cause she seemed so broken about it. A woman came in 4 nights in a row just in case she got the day wrong. I feel bad for her, but this is not normal behavior. I wonder if she's okay. I never saw her again. I don't think any other staff did either, but we all felt really bad for her. She got a couple free drinks and apps, we didn't even care if it was a scam cause she seemed so broken about it. This is so sad. Frown. place I used to work at had a man come in every night for a week, wait for a few hours, order food and drinks, then leave with no one showing up. Later learned he was just trying to cope with his wife's death, believing that she'd arrived to greet him at the restaurant where they had their first date. In a strange and not so sad way, that location may have allowed him to feel close to her, and that was good enough. He probably didn't truly believe that, but sometimes if you delude yourself like this you can just go along with it and it makes things feel better for a time. Edit, it's not lying to yourself, it's carefully packing away the truth for a few hours. You'll go back to it later and that's okay. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.